This week's best MMA bets, we're talking UFC 308. I'm going to give you guys my lock of the week, my most confident picks, favorite underdogs. We'll talk Degen Props of the night, and then finish it out with the parlays. So make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on, and make sure you share the video too. It's good to be back in studio. I'm glad to be here. We'll briefly talk last week, which was just an unfortunate L. Michel Pereira showed us that he has zero cardio. I didn't anticipate him to gas that quickly. I don't think anybody that was backing Pereira did, or even if you were on the other side, I don't think you believed he would gas out in the first round. He had nothing left after early exchanges where, I mean, he did some damage to the body of Hernandez, which I said was a weak point for Fluffy Hernandez, and I still believe that it is, but I didn't have the ability to consistently attack the body and wear him down enough to get a stoppage. So took the L with Michel, but it's all good because we're bringing fire with UFC 308. I got a parlay, and I still don't want to do a chalky locky, so I'm doing a lock of the week with a little twist. We're going to jump right into it. The lock of the week. Khamzat Chimaev plus the over 2.5 in Ige versus Lerone Murphy's fight. I think this makes a lot of sense, and it brings more value than just laying chalk down straight with Khamzat. I'm feeling in a valuable mood, and I want to keep these quality locks coming. I had a good streak going. Okay, we ran into a little fumble last week, but that doesn't discredit some tremendous underdog calls. This week, I think, is a chalkier card with a lot of the wider lines, and I just didn't want to put Khamzat straight down the center. Now, if you follow the channel, you know, in this current era, Khamzat's my favorite fighter, and I believe Khamzat has the championship potential, and I anticipate him and Dricus du Plessis to face off in some point of 2025. I believe he's getting past Rob Whittaker this weekend. And I'm actually feeling really good about it, knowing that Khamzat has slightly changed his training style, which I think is going to promote a less overtrained version of Khamzat and a more on-point and dialed-in version of him. Now, the over 2.5 in the Dan Ige versus Lerone Murphy fight stood out to me because both guys are durable, both guys are skilled, and I have a really hard time seeing either one of them. They had a knockout finish of the opposite foe, and I also don't think there's a massive grappling difference between the both. I see a competitive 3-round affair. I think maybe Murphy's the better wrestler, but Ige is going to have decent grappling defense, and I expect competitive striking exchanges. So the over 2.5 on the main card jumped out, and I said, yeah, I want that over 2.5. Khamzat down the center jumped out, and I said, you know what? Let's blend it together, and this week I'm going to lock a parlay. So this week's lock of the week is at -120 for Khamzat Chimaev and Lerone Murphy and Dan Ige going over 2.5 rounds. So technically, the lock of the week straight fight pick would be Khamzat Chimaev, and then the lock of the over-under action or the prop section is going to be Lerone Murphy and Dan Ige going long. That over 2.5 is going to be money. I'm telling you, the styles are going to clash in a competitive fashion, and it's going to be a 3-round fight. And Khamzat Chimaev, say what you want about some flawed performances. He destroyed Kamaru Usman in grappling and nearly finished him in the first round. Usman is a superior grappler to the side of Rob Whittaker. Now, I understand it was a short notice Usman, but let's not discredit Khamzat for having great success so early in that damn fight. Round number 1, it's still a savage Usman. He had everything in round number 1. Okay, 2 and 3, sure. Competitive, but Khamzat's securing and winning the wrestling exchanges. Rob Whittaker is a good Australian wrestler, but he's not a Khamzat Chimaev level of wrestler. Khamzat's never lost inside of the cage. We've seen Rob Whittaker beaten. You know, it's happened to better guys, the best in the game for sure, especially at 185. Recently, du Plessis ran him over. I think Khamzat is going to show him a different level of grappling. I think when they tie up Rob Whittaker, as good as he believes Khamzat Chimaev's wrestling game to be, I think he's going to be surprised that Khamzat is probably 50% stronger than he'll anticipate. I think Khamzat's going to be significantly faster than he's expecting. I truly feel like You don't understand the Khamzat grappling strength until you feel it, especially at 185, especially with a proper fight camp. If Khamzat makes the walk, he's winning the fight and he's remaining undefeated. I'm on the Khamzat Chimaev train until it crashes, and I don't think it's crashing. I think Khamzat's going to run through Rob, and I think he's going to earn himself a title fight. And the over 2.5 in Ige Murphy is screaming my name. So we're riding with the parlay lock. Khamzat, Ige Murphy, over 2.5, minus 120. I ain't doing no chalky locky this week. I was thinking about it. I'm like, do I just put Khamzat straight? And I said, nah. I said, that's not what I'm doing. Am I going to throw, high confident pick, which you'll see in the next section, at chalk as the lock? I didn't want to. I thought about maybe going for a dog, but I said I don't want to do an unproven underdog. We'll talk about him during the favorite underdog section. Khamzat down the center is minus 240, and it's minus 340 for that over 2.5 in the Murphy-Ige fight. So when you blend them together, you got minus 120. I think it's a lock parlay. The parlay section is consistently fire, and I'm doing the lock parlay for UFC 308. The first ever lock of the week parlay, which I'm damn excited about. So that is my lock. It's some parlay savagery. And let's jump to the next section. Let's talk my most confident picks on the card. We'll bring them up and I'll go one by one. So first one we'll talk about is going to be Geoff Neal. At minus 280, I know it's an ugly line, but he should beat a 40-year-old Rafael dos Anjos. I think Geoff Neal is still really good. I mean, he was super close with Ian Gary, who's proven to be a legit contender. I understand Shavkat beat him, but he still sat in there and tried to bang with Shavkat. He just met his match. I think he's going to be able to defend takedowns and touch up RDA on the feet. RDA is definitely going to look to put pressure on the side of Geoff Neal, but I think Neal's going to have good takedown defense, stay consistently moving away and landing cleaner shots. And at 170, I don't think it's crazy for Geoff Neal to actually knock RDA out. Now, the knockout line sits at plus 210, the decision line at plus 100. How I have felt about this fight all week has been it being either a later knockout win for the side of Geoff Neal or a decision for Geoff Neal. So I think Neal straight, obviously most confidence, but you're not going to get much value doing a money line. It becomes a parlay piece, which you will see mentioned at the end. We got some nice parlays with the side of Geoff Neal on it, and I really think that he beats this 40-year-old version of Rafael dos Anjos. Also, it'll be fun to see the battle of southpaws. I just see a massive speed advantage in the striking for Geoff Neal, a power advantage in the striking for Geoff Neal, and takedown defense to go alongside of it should lead him to a pretty dominant win, especially against a 40-year-old Rafael dos Anjos. RDA's 40, bro. He's 40. Recent loss at welterweight to Vicente Luque. And let's not forget, Neal destroyed him. Let's keep moving down. We got Farid Basharat. The better of the Basharat brothers. I think he's special. I truly feel like Farid Basharat has top 10 material written all over it. He's already got a massive win. He dominated Taylor Lapilus. And if you know me and you know the channel, I rate Taylor Lapilus as pretty high. Like, I think Lapilus is one of the more proficient and well-rounded fighters at bantamweight. And if you dominate a Taylor Lapilus, you have promise. And now he's taking on Victor Hugo, who's decent. He's a powerful striker. He's got good jiu-jitsu, but at times he's out of position. I just see way too many technical flaws. I think Basharat is on a cruise to a dominant win. Minus 650 for Basharat. The over 1.5 is minus 145. At the very least, I respect the durability of the side of Hugo, and I think minus 145 for an over 1.5 is crazy. I'm seeing that line could potentially be a mismark, so we're going to have to dig further. I'll put it in the comments if there's any change. But forget about the over 1.5. Basharat is a lock parlay piece in your extended plays. But when you're looking at some other things, okay, there's more than just throwing an over in this fight. Looking at Basharat on the cards, that makes a ton of sense to me. That is minus 150. I do believe Basharat is going to take it home by a judge's decision. I think he's going to win the fight, and I see him getting his hand raised. So Farid Basharat to pull through. I think he's doing the thing. It don't matter over or not. Just money line parlay piece. It's a lock. The decision prop is A caliber, and I think it's going to come to fruition. Let's keep running down. Magomedov Ankalev, minus 385. I'm hearing the Rakic team make a lot of excuses for that fight against Prochazka, saying, hey, I'm better than that. I fought with antibiotics in my system. Listen, say what you want. Rakic needs to strike from the outside, and Ankalev is good with his pressure. He's good at closing the gap, and he's got clean boxing. I think Magomed Ankalev is going to win this fight. He's a minus 385 favorite. I don't necessarily love him, with any props. I think it's probably going into the later stages. But the fact that Ankalev has a style that brings pressure and slowly breaks opponents down. I understand that it's only a 3-round fight, but I still feel as though Rakic is going to be very, very vulnerable in the boxing range. You saw with Prochazka, a lot of success from Yuri on Rakic on the inside. Yes, from the kickboxing range, there's really nice kicks for Rakic. He's snappy on the outside, but because he's fighting the southpaw and Ankalev, he's not going to have the option of those calf kicks. And I don't think he's going to be able to keep Ankalev off of him for 3 rounds. And I also think it's relatively unlikely, I would say even extremely unlikely, that Rakic is chinning Ankalev. Ankalev's the number 1 contender, and I think he defends that number 1 contender spot and deserves a title fight with the win over a crafty guy like Rakic, who's a big dude as well. Looking at the knockout, it's plus 230, decision plus 100. The 3rd round knockout for Ankalev currently sits at plus 1400, with 2nd round at plus 800. I'm seeing late 2nd round or 3rd round if it is to be a knockout for Magomed Ankalev, and I think he's doing damage. UFC said he needs to look good to get a title fight, so they're not saying, hey, just win a, crafty, competitive decision, we'll give you the shot. It's no, go out there and fuck Rakic up or we're not giving it to you. Either way, I don't think that changes the game plan. I think Ankalev knows. Walk down and wear down Rakic, get in the boxing range, you'll have success. I'm not so sure that Ankalev is going to look to wrestle, though, because I do think in the back of his mind, he's like, okay, I need to showcase my striking because I want to show the UFC, like, yo, I'm the guy. Give me Ferreira, enough of this ducking shit. And I want to see Ankalev, especially an Ankalev who wins here, fight against Alex Ferreira for sure. I'd say the winner of this fight is probably next in line for that light heavyweight belt, and it would be better if Ankalev wins because he's on, a nice unbeaten streak, whereas Rakic, he's got 2 straight losses. I understand the Blachowicz fight, he got injured, and then against Prochazka in the first 4 minutes, he looked like a damn world champion, but he didn't finish like a world champ. He got knocked the fuck out, and I think Ankalev is also knocking him out. And then the final of the most confident picks, we got Ilia Topuria. I got faith in my guy. I think he's going to beat Max Holloway. I truly think it's Topuria's time now. I think that Max looks awesome, though. I saw some pics of him. He looks shredded. Still believe wholeheartedly that he's better at 155. And I think Ilia Topuria is going to give him a lot of trouble with his hands. I think Topuria is going to be smooth with it in the striking realm. I think he's going to look clean on the feet. And I think he's going to be successful dropping some big punches on Max Holloway. In a competitive 5-round fight, I think Ilia Topuria is going to showcase that he is the better boxer of the two. If you look at them side by side training, don't tell me Topuria is not slicker. Minus 235 for Topuria to win the main event. I see it happening. I feel as though decision makes the most sense at plus 275 because Max Holloway's never been knocked out, and I don't think there's a high probability of him getting chinned here. If Topuria did knock him out, it's actually plus 180, so a smaller line for a KO. I believe Ilia Topuria is going to be ready for a 5-round war, and I think that's what he's going to get with Max Holloway, but he's going to be able to outwork him over the 5 rounds, land the more significant strikes, I think rock Max Holloway at moments, and maybe surprise him with a bit of grappling because Topuria is extremely crafty with his grappling skills. He's high level with grappling and jiu-jitsu, and it's an underrated area in his skill set. I think Holloway has moments, though, and I think it's competitive. And I think Ilia Topuria wins it by a judge's decision in a great back-and-forth fight. And that is why Topuria, for me, is a confident pick to go alongside of the other 3. So high confidence calls, Jeff Neal, Farid, Basharat, Magomed Ankalev, and Ilia Topuria all to pull through and get wins. Let's jump to the favorite dog section. This week, I'm thinking it's a lot of chalk. There's some close money lines, but a lot of chalky odds. I feel as though Rafael Cerqueira has a special skill set at plus 100. Ibo Aslan is just simply too stiff. Ibo Aslan is like kind of a plodding style brawler who throws a lot of power shots, and he does have knockout ability. He's a heavy-handed guy, but I don't think that he has the striking prowess to pick apart Cerqueira. And also, you can't doubt Rafael on the ground. He trains with Jailton Almeida. In Jailton's post-fight interview a while ago, when he was talking about his friend that should be back in the UFC, or should be in the UFC rather, it was Cerqueira. And I think this dude has promise. His skill set looks phenomenal. Yes, he's a can crusher, but it's not like Ibo Aslan is beating the best of the best. And against Turkali last time, Aslan was struggling and he was getting touched up. You're not going to be able to take those shots with Cerqueira, who's a very creative Muay Thai striker. I think Cerqueira's winning. I think he's getting it done inside distance. That's plus 130, but forget about chasing a prop. The money line at plus 100 caught my eye. And the line is starting to flip. You go out and bet it now. It's plus 130 at open. Now it's near even money. So I could definitely see Cerqueira even at minus 125 by the damn end of the week. And I think he is going to beat Ibo Aslan. Aslan, a little too simple with his style, does not move his head. He's simply way too hittable. And I think value-wise, Cerqueira's line has got to be the money tier. I actually considered locking Cerqueira, but you know why I didn't? Because I said I have to go evidence-based, and we have not seen him against a high-caliber opponent like Ibo Aslan. So instead of putting him as a lock, he is my favorite underdog in this card, and I would say my favorite money line bet on this entire card. So give me Cerqueira as a dog to pull through. Favorite dog for me, and I think he's getting his hand raised early in the night, taking out Ibo Aslan. Now I want to jump to the Degen Props. If you guys haven't, smash that like button, and if you're new, subscribe. So I think that Fakhretdinov and Leal end up going into the later stages. I think over 2.5 at minus 210 is rather likely. I wouldn't say it's a lock, but I do think it's probable to happen. And then looking at Mitabek Orderby and Mateusz Rambeshki, another one, I think it's going over. It's minus 125 for an over 2.5. I'm picking Orderby to win, but it's not going to be easy. Orderby in the cards, plus 150. I'm predicting that he wins the fight by a decision. And I think Rambeshki might have a few moments. He's a heavy-handed guy. Power out of the southpaw stance, but I think Orderby has a clear wrestling edge, and I do think he'll outwork Rambeshki over the full distance. And then Nzechukwu versus Barnett to go over a round and a half might be very live at plus money. You can find it all the way up at plus 120. So I think that over is kind of calling my name, because even though I think Nzechukwu should win, how quick is he going to get it done? Normally, he's rather patient. Sure, Barnett could walk into something and get knocked out early, but I would rather sit out and, go after an over 1.5 as opposed to laying a little chalk down for, the under 1.5 if you're looking to throw some heat down at that Nzechukwu fight, which is simply unbettable at minus 900. I didn't put Nzechukwu in the most confident pick section, not because I'm not confident that he should win, but he shouldn't be a minus 900 favorite against pretty much anybody on this roster, especially at heavyweight. And, I see him more as like a 4-1 favorite. 9-1 is crazy to me. Barnett deserves a little respect regardless of the short notice. He should not be this big of a damn underdog. We need to jump to the fan favorite section. Let's jump to the parlays. Parlay time. Let's look at them. So first up, Khamzat Chimaev and the Murphy Ige over 2.5. I'm calling it Lock City at minus 120. It's going to be a parlay lock for me this week. I'm riding with my favorite fighter in the game, and I'm riding with a confident over 2.5 at minus 120. I see it hitting heavy. Now, for a little alternate safe action with confident picks, Jeff Neal and Farid Basharat at minus 185 has a good ring to it. I think that's highly likely. If you're looking for a little more heat, you're looking to mix, the big two together. You got Khamzat with the Murphy and Ige over, Jeff Neal and Basharat plus 181. I like that foreplay. And at plus 181, it's got good lines that I think are going to end up hitting. Now, if you're looking to do another one of the alternate safe plays, this one I think makes a lot of sense. Ankalev, who's top class, top caliber, and Topuria to defend the belt and showcase against Max Holloway, minus 118 for a safer call. Ultimately, for those on the Holloway dog side, you're hating that, but I think Topuria is taking it home. I got my guy. Looking at Topuria with Ankalev and Khamzat in a solid 3-play, I think this is good at plus 160. Now, if you think that the most confident pick section is going to do a clean sweep, then you ride with Khamzat, Murphy, and Ige over, Topuria, Ankalev, Neal, and Basharat. That's plus 418 if I'm going to sweep the most confident pick section and the favorite dog section, which I truly believe I'm going to. 6 locks right there. Now, if you're looking to throw some dog action together, you like Cerqueira, you like the side of Jeff Neal, and you like Ilia Topuria, plus 283 to mix a dog in your savage call. Now, for those that just screenshot and bail, they're going to miss out on this. So if you're screenshotting and bailing, you're making a big mistake. I got a little extra action. Khamzat Chimaev with the over in the Ige fight with Cerqueira, my favorite underdog on the card, sits at plus 264. That's another one that I like. I didn't have it listed because, listen, I got to do it for my people that sit and listen and watch and don't just screenshot and bail. Next up, Degen call. Khamzat, the Murphy Ige over. Topuria, Ankalev, Leal, Basharat, and Cerqueira. My favorite dog in the mix with high confidence is plus 936. Now, if you like all of those, savage sides of EVs, right? I'm going to call this savage play the EV-OV supremacy. It's Chimaev, Ankalev, Shara, Bullet, Magomedov, Abus Magomedov, Naurdiev, who's a nerve-wracking call, but I think he wins, and Fakhretdinov, who's taking on a savage Brazilian. You got plus 1,084 for the EV-OV supremacy and a savage play. Now, if you want a little prop play, you throw Chimaev inside distance with that Murphy Ige over, Ankalev, Leal, and the Orabai Rambeshki to go over 2.5, plus 550. Got a good ring to it. Same one, prop Degen though, because you were throwing in the underdog Cerqueira, plus 1,200. That's going to hit. I see that hitting. I got a good feeling about that one too. And then looking at the bottom, we got the Khamzat Murphy Ige over 2.5. Okay, Ilya Topuria, Magomed Ankalev, Jeff Leal, Farid Basharat, Cerqueira, and the Nzechukwu over 1.5. So we got dog play and plus money over play. Plus 1862 for the degenerate savagery. Guys, this is going to be a hell of a card this weekend. And it's going to be some hella parlays this weekend, all right? Some savage plays. I think you got to mix and match some over-under thunder in your slates because if you just try to go high-confidence straight plays, for the most part, the best you're going to get is around plus 400 because there are a lot of chalky-lockies on the card. But when you mix some magic together or you throw in my favorite underdog, Cerqueira, then you can start getting some nice plus money this week. For all of you out there betting, make sure you're doing your own research. I will say this until I'm blue in the face. I'll say it till I'm pitch red and sweating. Do your own research. See where you line up with my calls. At the end of the day, you guys got eyes too. You got to sit down and watch. If you're just throwing a couple dollars down, you want to blindly tail, no problem. But if you're actually looking to bet substantial amounts of cash, see where we link up on our confident plays and our favorite dogs and our best parlays, as opposed to just blindly going into it and trying to chase what I'm saying and throwing down hella cash. And then, we're going to be happy. I mean, shit, the Royval card, you would have won just closing your eyes and placing the bets what I'm placing. But sometimes shit goes a little sideways. I'm expecting big W's this week. So for the blind tailors, congratulations. You're going to catch a dub. But I still recommend doing your own due diligence because that's the part of the MMA gambling side that you need is a little self-respect and a little research on your own time. You know what I'm saying? Thank you guys all for tuning in. I appreciate the savages. It's good to be back in studio. I missed it here. It's nice to be home. Had a great vacation, but nothing like being home. Home sweet home. Thank you guys for tuning in. Daily content coming. Definitely smash the likes. If you guys are new, subscribe it up. Let me know in the comments what you thought of my picks. Let me know your lock. Are you doing a lock parlay like me? Or do you got a chalky locky? Or maybe some savages got underdogs. I'm expecting at least like 5 to 10 Max Holloway W lock comments down below. So definitely let me know what you're thinking. If you don't have anything to say, but you just enjoy my content, you want to support, W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Much love to the people. I'll see you guys all week long. Thank you for watching. Peace out.